This is your wide camera one. It's going to give you full. This one is a close up with friends after they sit down. This one's in the first two bedrooms. Back to the speaker.
broadcasting live on the TLHanna broadcast channel on YouTube. The replay will be available on the channel as well to watch anytime. Thank you. Good morning, TLHanna, and welcome to the Veterans Day Assembly for 2019. We will begin the parade of honor by our local veterans. Today we pay tribute to those men and women who proudly served our nation in its time of need. They answered the call to duty. Please stand as the veterans of past battles and conflicts join this assembly. First, those veterans of the most costly and devastating wars of the last century, our soldiers, Marines, sailors, and airmen of the greatest generation, the servicemen and women of the World War II and the Korean War, the veterans of Vietnam, Grenada, 1983, Panama Operation Just Cause, 1989, the Cold War, the Persian Gulf, Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Desert Fox, and the Southern Watch. Kosovo, Bosnia, Albania, the former Yugoslavia, and Somalia. The global war on terror, homeland security, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. We thank all of you deeply for your service and dedication to our country. Please remain standing for the presentation of our colors, our national anthem, and the invocation. Please place your right hand over your heart while the anthem is sung by the District 5 Chamber Choir. Veterans may render a military salute. gentlemen, the Veterans Prayer by Chief Edens.
Please pray with me. Dear Lord, today we honor our veterans, worthy men and women who gave their best when they were called upon to serve and protect their country. We pray that you will bless them, Lord, for their unselfish service and the continual struggles to preserve our freedom, our safety, and our country's heritage for all of us. Bless them abundantly for the hardships they face, for the sacrifices they've made, for their many different contributions to American victories over tyranny and oppression. We respect them, we thank them, we honor them, we are proud of them, and we pray that you will watch over these special people and bless them with peace and happiness. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
All right, you may be seated. Will the TLHanna students with family members serving or who have served please stand and be recognized? Will the following members of the TLHanna staff with prior military service please stand? Kevin Benson, Ivan Bensley, Stephen Brooks, John Carey, Roxanne Elkins, Joe Jock, Captain Lucier, Chris Klimmel, Lieutenant Commander Smith, Chief Smith, Chris Stanzione, and Keith White. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you. We thank you for your service and support of our military personnel. Please give our TLHanna family a round of applause. The TLHanna band, under the direction of Mr. A.J. Pace, will now play the salute of the services. We ask all the veterans to stand when your service song is played.
have our guest speaker, First Sergeant David Wilkins, U.S. Army. His biography is in our program, but he has over 15 years of distinguished service. He deployed twice to Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and was awarded the Bronze Star and Purple Heart for meritorious service during combat operations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome First Sergeant David Wilkins.
Good morning. Good morning, Yellow Jackets, fellow veterans, community members, and a special thank you to Mr. Mayfield, Captain Lucier, and Lieutenant Commander Smith for setting this moment. For inviting me this morning to observe and celebrate Veterans Day with you all. Before I get started, I also just want to go ahead and give a round of applause to the band, the cadets, and the fellow veterans in this room one more time for doing a fantastic job. I'm sorry, in the choir. I'm sorry about that. Let's please give a round of applause again for phenomenal execution. So my name is First Sergeant David Wilkins, and I am the Senior Enlisted Advisor for the U.S. Army Greenville Recruiting Company. On the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month, the fighting of World War I ended in 1918. Due to the conclusion of the war to end all wars, November 11th became a universally recognized day of celebration. The day was originally declared Armistice Day, 8 years after the end of World War I, and honored only veterans of that war. Then in 1954, after World War II and the Korean War, it was renamed Veterans Day to honor all veterans who served America in war and defended democracy. You cannot fight a war without veterans, and while the utopian idea of a society without war is appealing, let us not forget that wars have liberated slaves, stopped genocide, and toppled dictators and terrorists. Fewer than 10% of Americans can claim the title veteran. Today, far less than 1% of our population is currently defending us in the global war on terrorism. So today, we honor all of our veterans who unselfishly placed their lives on the line for our freedom. Those men and women were ordinary people until they heard the call of duty and answered it. They left their families, their homes, and their lives, not for recognition or fame, or even in the honor we bestow upon them today. They fought to protect our country, our freedom, and to maintain our way of life. As we honor our veterans and remember their great deeds, let us also salute those who are currently fighting for our freedom today. The war on terrorism has helped us all realize how truly unique the American way of life is. The freedom we enjoy is extremely special, and that is why we must defend it. So now it is time to not only honor those who have fought for or are fighting for our freedom, it is also the time for each of us to take part in protecting it. Defense of freedom is not just for those in the military. Each of us shares that duty and that responsibility. We don't have to join the Army or the Navy or any other organization of defense to actively defend our way of life. We can protect our freedom simply by maintaining it here in America. If we want to preserve our freedoms, we must put them into action. For example, by voting in elections or speaking out against injustices. We must also ensure that everyone feels the benefits of our freedom. And we cannot do that, and we can do that by volunteering in our communities and teaching others what it really means to be an American. Veterans Day isn't just a day for veterans. It's a day for all Americans. It's a day to remember why we were fighting, and a day for all of us to begin our journey of protecting our freedom and the freedom of many future generations. Thank you for honoring our veterans today. Our debt to these heroes can never be repaid, but our gratitude and respect must last forever. Let us walk toward tomorrow still honoring them by living in the freedom they protected. Now I'd like to go ahead and share a little bit of story, a little personal story of mine from July 13th, 2007. On this table over here, I have a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star that I was awarded on that very day. In Iraq, it was Friday the 13th. But back here in America, it was actually Thursday, July 12th, which was my 1-year anniversary of being married to my wife. To give you a little bit of a backstory, at that time, I was young and alive, serving on my second deployment. We had just been extended we were thinking we were going home soon from a 12-month deployment to a 15-month deployment. And the call came down as this young E5 sniper team leader that we were going to do an Overwatch position. And this was just following a 96-hour mission that we had just completed not too far beforehand. So we got it together, did our pre-combat checks, our pre-combat inspections, rehearsed, and we made sure that we went ahead and were focused for the mission at hand. And as a sniper team leader, as a sniper team, it wasn't a mission that we maybe would have wanted or asked for. But nonetheless, it was one that we'd go after. Go ahead and feel free to move these around if you like. So we were getting ready to be in Overwatch position. There was going to be an air assault raid in a small farming village not far from the Kadardi village, which is known as the Triangle of Death in the town of Yusufia. And together with me, I had my actual sniper. I had an Air Force JTAC, one that can communicate with our our aircraft ahead. And I had a rear personnel security detail. Upon sitting there, we operate off. In today's military, we are so lethal because of our technology that we have. Unfortunately, that day the technology didn't work so well. For our night vision goggles, we need to have a certain bit of illumination from the moon. There was none. So then we rely on our thermal optics, which generally speaking work pretty good except for when you're in a hot desert. So we were sitting on an Overwatch in a road that was kind of built up, going across a farm field. And just sitting there watching Overwatch as they went ahead, as the infantry platoon went ahead and air assaulted into this small farming village. And as we went ahead and watched, our job was to make sure that no squirters or no terrorists or bad guys came running out across the farm fields from that village as soon as they heard the helicopters. And we had air support above us, so we were pretty confident, maybe a little complacent. Like I said, we had just returned back from a 96-hour mission not too far beforehand. In that very time, there were seven bad guys that squirted out. Now, we had no idea they were there, because again, our night division goggles weren't working, we didn't have enough illumination. And our thermals work, they pick up heat sensors if a different temperature. However, they had something called space blankets, aluminum foil blankets, that they had picked up from our Humvees that were blown, they picked up from our Humvees from when they were blown up from the side of the road. So with those blankets over them, they looked nothing more than maybe a large rock or a large heated object moving across, rather than a figure, an actual body. So we sensed that something was getting close, or somebody was getting close, as we heard dogs barking. And no less than 20 minutes after the air assault went ahead and landed into that village, all of a sudden we were surprised by seven bad guys. And they were just as surprised to see us as we were of them. And that very day, we exchanged gunfire. And I was fortunate enough to have a round ricochet off my weapon, which fragmented into the side of my head and on my neck. And of course, at that point, I said, "Ow, that hurt," and took a little knee, turned around. At that very moment, I went ahead and then got a Forrest Gump wound. Direct shot right to the buttocks. Yes, it's embarrassing to say, but that is exactly what happened. Unfortunately for me, the adrenaline, and knowing that my bad buddies to the left and right of me had my back, we were able to continue on with the firefight, and we were able to suppress the fire, and we were able to walk out of there. I am very happy to this day that I was the only one that was wounded. My entire team made it back. No injuries other than myself, with wounds non-life-threatening, can heal very easily. So I say this today, and after 11 years, 12 years, coming up on 12, coming up on 13 years, it's still so fresh and vivid in my mind. But there are so many of our veterans sitting here right now that can tell us their own personal stories. So I want to thank you guys for listening to that quick 3-minute personal story of my life and allowing me to relive that. And again, today, as you see a veteran in Rome, please just wish them a happy Veterans Day and thank them for their service. Thank you all.
5 Chamber Choir, directed by Mr. Leroy Kennedy, will now sing "To Those Who Serve." Next, a squad from the NJRC drill team will perform for our veterans.
Guilty. Holland. Hunt. B and on. Mr. Grant. I, over, up. I, over, up. And over, up. Forth, up. Over, up. Hurry, S. Guilty, unintended. I, haste. Forth, up. Over, up. All right, up. Together, arch. Together, arch. Right, arch. Right, arch. All right, arch. Guilty, unintended. B and on. Order, on. I, eight. Order, on. Order, on. All right, on. All right, on.
Mr. Mayfield, Principal of TLHanna High School, will now present a small token of our esteem to the veterans and military personnel. veterans never stop serving the nation and their communities. Today we have a special presentation by Mr. F. Woody Collins, Chief, U.S. Navy Retired. Representing the Fleet Reserve Association and the Anderson Elks Lodge number 1206, please welcome SKC Collins.
Great. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, said I am here representing two organizations. First of all, the Fleet Reserve Association and also the Anderson Elks Lodge. Fleet Reserve Association is open to all veterans who served at least 90 days or more as an enlisted member of the Navy, Marine Corps, or Coast Guard and received an honorable or non-dishonorable discharge. Fleet Reserve mission is to oversee legislation in Congress that would affect the veterans or active duty military benefits and rights. Petition Congress on behalf of all military veterans and active duty. Unfortunately, our branch 234 just recently had to close. We had one time 300-something members, and we got down to just a few members and only about 3 or 4 active members. So due to lack of membership and also participation, we voluntarily surrendered our charter. And what this involves is that we have some funds we need to liquidate. These funds can either be turned back into the national headquarters or they can be dispersed within the local community. We chose to disperse this into local community organizations that support our veterans and also train our future leaders. At this time, I want to present a $2,000 donation to TLHanna Navy's Junior ROTC program to assist in needed funds for uniforms, travel, and other expenses. That may help out a little bit. I know you guys got a lot of expenses. The Fleet Reserve Association Branch 234 also chose to make some donations to the Anderson Elks Lodge. And it's for 2 reasons. First of all, the Elks Lodge does serve our veterans thoroughly throughout the community. We have a various number of programs. Monthly, we go out to the Richard Campbell Nursing Home and serve cake and ice cream and have a birthday party for all those that had birthdays that month. Annually, we go out and have a big barbecue out there for not only the residents there, but also their family members and the staff at Richard Campbell. We also have a group called Vets Helping Vets that meet at our lodge every Wednesday. And this is a group that started off like 14 or 15 people, and they're swollen to over 200 members. They come in there, and just like the name says, they're there to help each other. They're an assist program, support system, if you like. We've got several members here right now today that over here in this group. They do a fantastic job of supporting each other. So because of those veterans activities, we donated $5,000 to the Elks Lodge for help out with their veterans programs. We also made a donation to the Elks Scholarship Program. I happen to be the chairman of that committee, so I know a lot about the scholarship program. But we are earmarking this particular one. This could be 7 one-year, one-time, $1,000 scholarships to any Navy Junior ROTC student, senior who is going to be going on to college, needs some financial assistance, or to any child or a grandchild of a Navy, Marine Corps, or Coast Guard veteran. And to do that, you need to go online and actually apply for the most valuable student scholarship through the Elks, which gives you another chance to win a scholarship. And then you also need to make a copy of that and forward that with a letter over to me at the Elks Lodge. Your guidance counselor, I'll give them all that information so they can give that to you. So if you want to apply for that scholarship, feel free to do so. I'd love to see some people from TLHanna get that. I come over every year and award 2 or 3 scholarships anyway, so I'd like to present at least one more. And I think that's about all I have, unless one of my Fleet Reserve members or our Grand Exalted Ruler from the Elks Lodge would like to say a few words, but that's all I have. But thank you very much, and this has been a very impressive program. I'm sure all my veterans appreciate it very much as I do, and the music's been fantastic. The drill team was outstanding. So thank you very much for all you do for us, too.
and gentlemen, Captain Lucier, and the Senior Naval Science Instructor.
Good morning. As you entered the gymnasium, you may have noticed a small table in a place of honor. It is set for one. This table is our way of symbolizing the fact that members of our profession of arms are missing from our midst. They are commonly called prisoners of war, POWs, or missing in action, MIA. We call them brothers and sisters. They are unable to be with us this morning, so we remember them. The table is set for one. It is small. It symbolizes the frailty of one prisoner alone against his oppressors. Remember. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. Remember. The single red rose displayed in the vase reminds us that the families and loved ones of our comrades in arms keep the faith, awaiting their return. Remember. The yellow ribbon tied prominently on the vase is reminiscent of the yellow ribbon worn upon the lapel and breasts of thousands who bear witness to their unyielding determination to demand a proper accounting of our missing. Remember. The candle symbolizing the upward reach of their unconquerable spirit. Remember. A slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate. Remember. There is salt upon the bread plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they await. Remember. The glass is inverted. They are not here to toast with us today. Remember. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember. All of you who served with them and called them comrades, who depended upon their might and aid and relied upon them, for surely they have not forsaken you. Remember. Remember until the day they come home. Remember.
Sacrifices, read by Cadet Wilson.
The world has known many kinds of war: the 100 Years' War and the 100-Hour War, the 7 Years' War, and the 6-Day War, Cold Wars and phony wars, great wars and splendid little wars. Whatever anyone wants to call it, the truth is that war is part of humanity. It can be limited or deterred, but it cannot be outlawed like a crime because there is no consensus on who should pay to share it. Nor can it be cured like a disease because of the very nature of man. As some of history's greatest thinkers have concluded, there is a time for war and a time for peace, Solomon wrote. America's generals are seldom so matter-of-fact about war. Robert E. Lee said it was terrible. Dwight Eisenhower deplored it for its brutality, its futility, and stupidity. Our veterans have intervened on 330 notable deployments overseas since 1798. Some have paid the ultimate sacrifice, death, to preserve our freedom. Now let us all stand, render a moment of silence, and reflect on these and many other sacrifices that our veterans have endured. While we hear the playing of taps from the TLHanna Band. The TLHanna Band will now play taps. You may now be seated.
Now Principal Mayfield will give the closing remarks.
We're almost done, guys. I appreciate y'all being a great audience. I know these aren't the most comfortable seats to sit in, but y'all been great. I'd like to thank several individuals and groups who've made today's celebration possible. Captain Skip Lucier, the TLHanna NJROTC cadets, First Sergeant David Wilkins, the TLHanna Band, the District 5 Chamber Choir, our bagpiper Isaac Marillet. Let's give them all a big round of applause. On behalf of the entire TLHanna family, I would like to say thank you to all our veterans who are with us today. We're all very grateful for the sacrifices that you and all veterans have made that we may live in a free and democratic country. Thank you for your service to our country. This concludes today's assembly. Students, please allow our visitors to leave. At this time, the Honor Guard will help escort our veterans from the gym. Students, please remain in your seats until you are dismissed back to class. Thank you.